we are talking about why you could be gaining weight in your hips, butt, and thighs area, which I'm sure so many of you can relate to. And the reason for that could be that you have estrogen excess. Now, I want to talk about the two different types of estrogen excess because I was really confused about this in the beginning and I didn't think I had estrogen excess because of this reason, so I wasn't treating it properly, and I totally did. So let me just go through that first. So there are two different types of estrogen excess. One is frank estrogen excess and the second is relative estrogen. So if you have frank estrogen excess, that means that on a blood test it's gonna come up you just have way too much estrogen. Easy to tell, you're like, ooh, your levels are really, really high. Okay, that's one way. The second way is relative estrogen excess. And this is if you have low progesterone levels and in relation to that progesterone, your estrogen is really high because they work hand in hand, okay? They like balance off of each other. And this is what's really common with people with PCOS. And this is what I had, but I didn't know it because on a blood test, everyone's like, oh no, your levels are fine. Your estrogen isn't high at all. You're good. But it was high in relation to my progesterone. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm good then, my estrogen's fine. It really wasn't. So that's really important to note. And the reason why that's really common with people with PCOS is because one of the symptoms of PCOS is having irregular cycles and not ovulating regularly, which was my experience. So if you're not regularly ovulating, you're not regularly making progesterone. So your progesterone levels are gonna be really low, and in turn, your estrogen levels are gonna be too high. So make sure that if you are looking on a blood test, you know that it could be just in relation to your progesterone. It doesn't have to just be that your estrogen levels are super high, okay? So that's what happened to me, and I was not treating myself properly in the beginning, which is why it went from months without a period to 2 years without a period. So just be conscious of that. And if you aren't getting a blood test right now, I do have a free hormone imbalance quiz in my bio where you could find out your imbalances, it pinpoints your symptoms, and it lets you know what's going on. So for right now though, let's go through some symptoms of estrogen excess, which like I said, hips, butt, and thighs, weight gain, and those areas specifically. Really heavy periods, heavy cramping, breast tenderness, headaches, migraines around your period, those are all symptoms of estrogen excess. And the reason why you could be gaining weight in those areas specifically when you have estrogen excess is because it stimulates your fat cells to hold on to the fat, okay, to store it more. So that's why. It's not because you're not eating well. I mean, that could be part of it too, but if you're eating really healthy, you're exercising, you're like, what is going on? It could definitely be because of insulin resistance as well, which you can go look at a past IGTV I did on that. But also, if you have estrogen excess, this is gonna be a game changer for you, okay? So let's talk about 3 ways that you can lower your estrogen levels to then lose weight in your hips, butt, and thighs. But also, like I said, it could really be insulin resistance as well, but these tips will help that also, okay? So first tip is then you're not gonna like this tip, but I'm gonna tell you anyway because I'm not here to tell you what you wanna hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear and what's gonna get your results. So step 1 is to get rid of alcohol. And that doesn't mean that you can't have another alcoholic drink for the rest of your life because that's not realistic. But it does mean that if you are consuming alcohol often, you're increasing your estrogen levels. And here's the crazy part. Are you ready for this? 1 alcoholic drink increases your estrogen levels by 10%. 10% just from 1 drink. That's a lot, okay? So if you are really trying to manage your estrogen levels and your hormones in general, and you know that you have estrogen excess, I would strongly recommend getting rid of alcohol completely for at least 3 months until you really kind of get things out of control, you're seeing results, things are balancing out. Once you're in a more balanced state and your hormones are more balanced, you'll more easily be able to tolerate the alcohol and it won't wreak havoc on your system. But if right now you already have estrogen excess and you're drinking a lot, you're just continuously bumping it up. So get rid of the alcohol. You're also not gonna like my next tip, but that is get rid of coffee. And that's because coffee does the same thing. It really drives up that estrogen excess, those estrogen levels. So you really wanna be mindful of that. And again, it doesn't have to be forever, but I would do it for at least 3 months. And if you still need that caffeine boost, I would switch to a matcha green tea that has caffeine in it, but it doesn't increase your estrogen levels and it doesn't spike. It doesn't have that caffeine spike like coffee does. It's a more like stable type of stimulant. So it's better all around. It has really good properties. Green tea, matcha green tea is super healthy. It has a ton of antioxidants. So it's a much better choice overall. So get rid of alcohol and coffee. Don't hate me for telling you that, but it's gonna help you, so I'm gonna tell you. And the third tip is to get rid of all the pesticides in your food. Switch to all organic, at least the Dirty Dozen, which is at ewg.org. I think it's /Dirty Dozen, or just go to ewg.org and you look up the Dirty Dozen. That will tell you the 12 fruits and vegetables that have the highest pesticide content, and those are the ones that you definitely need to get organic. And then there's also the Clean 15. Those are the ones that don't have as many pesticides, and that if you aren't switching everything to organic, you could just get at least those 15 conventional and it won't be as detrimental. So it's so important because the pesticides, they destroy and they block certain hormone receptors. It messes up the hormone transportation, the processing of them. It puts a burden on your liver, so your hormones aren't getting flushed out, because it's your liver's responsibility to process those excess hormones, that excess estrogen you have floating around, and move it onto your gut, so it's then eliminated out of your body, so you're clearing it out, so it's not just continuously storing up. But if your liver is overburdened by a ton of toxins and pesticides you're consuming multiple times a day, it's not going to deal with the hormones, because it's like, oh my God, I got these toxins that are life-threatening that I need to get out ASAP. So the hormones are like on the back burner. So it's a really important step. And actually, back to the coffee thing that I was talking about, if you are consuming coffee, like I said, I wouldn't recommend it because it does increase your estrogen. But in general, definitely make sure that that's organic, because coffee has a ton of pesticides in it, okay? Alcohol as well. If you're like a wine drinker, I would strongly recommend doing organic, because grapes are on the Dirty Dozen. There's about like 12 to 15 pesticides in one grape. Crazy. How that's allowed is beyond me. That's another topic for another time. So if you are gaining weight in your hips, butt, and thighs, it could be due to estrogen excess, because when you have high estrogen, it stimulates those fat cells to hold on to the fat. If this is something that you're experiencing, get rid of the alcohol and coffee, don't hate me, and go organic, and I promise it will help you. You'll feel so much better. Those are really great tips to start you off on this journey. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to help you with this. This is something that I did not know in the beginning, and I was thinking that I did not have high estrogen levels because I had the relative estrogen excess in relation to my progesterone, and it really messed me up in the long run. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to help you. I also have the link in my bio for that free hormone imbalance quiz. Don't forget. And if you want to set up a complimentary call to talk more about this, if you are experiencing this with your PCOS, I would love to help navigate this with you. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.